Liverpool are about to win the Premier League. Clearly. There's absolutely no doubt about that. But how do they go about retaining it? Today, we're going to look at some of the signings they could make this summer to help them do it. I asked Liverpool fans at home to send in as many transfer rumours they'd seen about the club that they wanted to happen. I've got 20 of the best ones in front of me here. We've got 5 different categories. Let's get a ranking. Okay, we'll start with Mo Kudus. Heavily suggested on X, and I have to say I've seen rumours in The Guardian over the last 24 hours suggesting that Mo Kudus could be sold by West Ham this summer to raise funds for the rest of the squad. Now, Saudi Arabia was supposedly heavily interested. He has a £120 million release clause for Saudi sides and an £85 million release clause for Premier League teams. And I think there's no doubt, had this been 12 months ago, we would definitely be talking about Mo Kudus up in amongst this perfect category. He is a sensational footballer, one of the best ball carriers in the Premier League. Upwards of 4 successful take-ons per 90 puts him in the top 1 or 2% of European midfielders. However, he has taken a significant step back on his output this season. 14 goal involvements in 27 games last season. This season, it's 5 goal involvements in 27 games. I still think there is a fabulous footballer there in Mo Kudus. And given he's still only 24 years old, with the style of play he has, it's often spoken about, could he be the long-term solution to Mo Salah? Could he play on that right wing and offer cover? Could he also offer cover in the 10 role? I don't really see him being a long-term replacement for Mo Salah. I don't see him being an output monster like Mo Salah, but he's definitely a driving force from that midfield. He can play as a 10, he can play on both flanks. I've spoken to and interviewed him. He definitely told me that his favourite position is as an advanced 8, come a number 10. He prefers to be in the centre of the pitch than out wide. And that leads me to think that when I look at this Liverpool squad, for £85 million, I certainly see this as unrealistic. I don't see them spending that volume of cash on a player who wants to predominantly operate in the number 10 role, where Dominic Szoboszlai has played a lot of football. Obviously, Curtis Jones can play a little bit more advanced. McAllister can play a little bit more advanced. I'm not sure the number 10 role, whilst it is a need for Liverpool, is warranting £85 million worth of spend this summer. What about João Pedro? Often branded a bit of a wild card because of his sendings off recently, the attempted elbows we've seen in the past. He's definitely very physical in his style of play, quite emotional, but I really, really like João Pedro. For me, he is one of Brighton's biggest talents, maybe their 2 or 3 best talents. Yes, his numbers this season have fallen back a little bit. Huge goal-scoring volume last season, which was supported by penalties. This season, not quite as much, hasn't hit that 20 goal mark across all competitions like he did last campaign, but he's still a fabulous footballer on the ball. Now, I know João Pedro isn't a traditional number 9 in the sense of being a box crasher. You know, he's in the bottom 20% of European strikers / forwards for shot volume. So he's not a big shot numbers guy. He's not a huge XG monster. He's really a link man who can play almost as a false 9 second striker. He reminds me in some ways, he's not as silky, of Bobby Firmino in his positional play. When I look at João Pedro's numbers, for instance, they almost mirror Bobby Firmino. Bobby Firmino in the season Liverpool on the league, 3.5 shot creating actions. João Pedro this season, 3.5 shot creating actions. Could he be a facilitator to allow Mo Salah's numbers to continue to thrive, dropping deeper, allowing Mo Salah to invert and get into that box area, get the volume of shots he gets off? It might work. The issue again comes down to fees. Under contract until 2028, Brighton are hard negotiators. They took £115 million for Moises Caicedo, who is under a long contract. I think Brighton would want upwards of maybe £70 million for João Pedro, which would be an eye-watering amount of money. It would border on unrealistic, but I don't think I'm going to put that many strikers in unrealistic for Liverpool. For me, if it got done, it would be a good move, but a costly one. What about Xavi Simons then? A similar sort of role, potentially, to Mo Kudus, in that he wants to play in the central areas in that number 10. He can also drift wide if you absolutely need him to. He's also a couple of years younger than Mo Kudus at 22, and like Mo Kudus, had a much better season last campaign. 19 goal involvements. This season, 13 goal involvements. Still a few games to play, but he's a symptom, I think, of Leipzig's struggles in the Bundesliga. They might sit 4th at the moment, but it's a real battle for them to get into the Champions League this season. They were pretty appalling when they were in the Champions League. He struggled with injury as well, Xavi Simons. He only joined Leipzig on a permanent deal in January. They paid a reported 60 million euros that could rise to 85 million euros for him, and it was only a 2-year contract. So there's a lot of moving parts in my head around Xavi Simons. For the right fee, and let's say it is 15 to 20 million pounds less than Mo Kudus, I really do think it would be a good move. He's versatile enough to play on that left-hand side if you needed him to. Playmaking ability, his shot-creating numbers, his dribbling ability in tight spaces, his ball striking, all absolutely phenomenal. A slightly higher ceiling maybe than Mo Kudus, a slightly cheaper fee if that's possible. But again, it's a big amount of money on a position that isn't probably in my 3 priorities for Liverpool. Certainly one position that is a priority for Liverpool is that centre-back. You've got Virgil van Dijk tied down to the new deal, but Ibu Konate's contract runs out in 2026. You've got Joe Gomez there, you've got Jarell Quansah, but Quansah has started 2 Premier League games this season. Joe Gomez, I don't think is ever going to get back to the heights we saw previously, despite the fact he's a very good squad option. For me, Dean Huijsen, absolutely perfect. What I like about Dean Huijsen is his two-footedness. He could offer cover to Virgil van Dijk if he was to pick up injuries, because let's face it, he's 33 years old now. He might have to be rotated in and out of the team a little bit, but he's also able to play as a right-sided centre-back. I actually thought he was left-footed, but he's right-footed. He's also really, really aggressive off the ball. He's put up more interceptions than any player in the Premier League in 2025, which is an incredibly weird number for a centre-back to put up. Usually you're looking at fullback, central midfielders putting up that volume, but because of his willingness and aggression of stepping into the midfield, he's constantly winning the ball, and that would be a really beneficial skill set for Liverpool to have. I also like his size for a 19-year-old. He's 6'5". I'm looking here at the 54 centre-backs that have played over 900 Premier League minutes this season. In terms of aerials contested, 4.5 per 90, that's 12th. So the 12th highest of the 54 that have played over 900 minutes. He's 19. He wins a lot of headers, and that is a big bonus for a Liverpool side that have physical centre-backs. Konate wins a lot of aerial duels. Van Dijk wins a lot of aerial duels. You don't want the replacement to suddenly be a big drop-off in that area. Another crucial signing for me is in the left-back position. Is it Anthony Robinson? We should talk about him first. We've got Milos Kerkez to come, who's heavily linked with the club. I certainly think Anthony Robinson would be a good signing. His age doesn't strike me as the most Liverpool appropriate. They tend to sign a little bit younger and hope to grow a superstar, don't they? Anthony Robinson isn't really a superstar on paper, but he's put up over 10 Premier League assists. He's 4th in terms of tackles and interceptions in the whole league. And he's clearly, over the last 18 months, developed into one of the most well-rounded, physically capable fullbacks in the Premier League. He's constantly running. He's very, very fast on the outside and working backwards towards his own goal. He's a nightmare to play against. So it would be a good signing, but I still think Kerkez would probably be a step above it, in my opinion, mainly because of the fact he's 21 years old, and the output we're seeing from him at 21, whilst it's not Anthony Robinson levels, is remarkable. In an attacking sense, he is so dangerous on the overlap. His crossing ability has improved no end in the second half of the season, but it's also his physical capability. I spoke about Anthony Robinson. Nobody is putting up more pressures per 90 in the Bournemouth side than Milos Kerkez in 2025. He is constantly on the front foot, hounding, chasing across the pitch. When I think back to the best of Liverpool, with Andy Robertson in that fullback slot, charging wherever he wanted, leading the press, twigs something straight away in my head whenever I watch Milos Kerkez that we could be looking at a similar profile. And with a reported fee of £40 million, he might well end up being cheaper than Anthony Robinson, who's under contract till 2028. I know it's 2 Bournemouth players coming in here in my suggestions, but it would be amazing. The issue with Huijsen, I suppose, is you're battling with Chelsea, and Chelsea seem to have got a march on him. Liverpool can't let that happen. Well, we're really flying through some of the best options here, aren't we? Because next up, we've got Angelo Stieler, one of my favourite players in Europe, especially in that midfield role. And I actually think Liverpool need support in the defensive midfield position. They went for Martin Zubimendi last season. It didn't really happen, and it's actually benefited them because Ryan Gravenberch has taken huge strides forward, the most improved player in the Premier League. They're out and out 6. He's had a remarkable season. But if he was to get injured, do we trust Endo to step up into that, the ultimate finisher? I'm not quite sure Arne Slot does. In fact, I'm not too sure that Arne Slot really trusts a large swathe of his squad. You haven't seen too many changes, and I think that's one of the reasons that in the cup competitions and towards the back end of the season, they've looked a bit stretched physically because there hasn't been that much rotation. So I think another 6, a rotational 6, who can also play as an 8, would be a great option for Liverpool. And is there a better name available than Angelo Stieler? He's 24 years old, so he's in that bracket I immediately associate with Liverpool signings, but he's also got a release clause of £30 million that becomes active in 2026. So in a year's time, he's available for that much, which means you'd think this summer he might be available for a little bit more than the 30, but not a super amount of money, not a crazy, ridiculous number. And he should be available for a crazy amount of money because both the eye test and the statistical profile of the player is mind-blowing for someone his age. 99th percentile of players in Europe for his age for progressive passes, forward passes, 90th percentile for key passes, 80th percentile for duels won. He is really good at picking the ball up, winning the ball back in tight duels and playing quick passes forward. He is a bit like a German Adam Wharton. And we're going to talk about Adam Wharton in a little bit. It would surprise me if Bayern Munich don't come back in for Angelo Stieler. He was, of course, a product of their youth academy. He left, went to Stuttgart. They're interested in bringing him back. He'd be a great pickup for Liverpool for me. I almost want to put him in perfect. Just judging by the rest of the names on this list, there could be some others that dislodge him and he might end up moving down by the end of the video. But for now, I think he's that elite. Okay, let's chat Adam Wharton because lots of clubs are still interested in him, aren't they? The numbers, the profile speak for themselves. To do what he's doing at 20 in the Premier League, it's frightening. In fact, I'm going to put this graph on screen right now in terms of progressive passes per 90 and forward passes per 90. All of the players we're looking at here, you know, Warren Zaire-Emery, highly rated. Casado, highly rated. Joao Neves, what a season he is having. Spot Adam Wharton. Yeah, he is up there alongside Pavlovic, who we know is an amazing progressive passer for his age. But look at the level we're seeing here from Adam Wharton. It's scary. We are talking about a player that has a skill set not many others in the entirety of Europe do that are under 23. And he's 20. The issue, though, is he's locked down to a very long-term contract at Crystal Palace. There's no release clause in that contract. For me, this is unrealistic. I don't see Crystal Palace allowing Adam Wharton to leave this summer. I think they're going to have a few exits. Mark Guehi into the last year of his contract, very likely to leave. Eberechi Eze has the release clause again in his deal, very likely to leave. If those two go, there's no way a third player is allowed to leave in Adam Wharton. Even if one of those two go, I don't see Adam Wharton being allowed to leave the club. He's also only 20. I want to see him develop a little bit more at Crystal Palace. I don't think there's a massive rush for him to go anywhere. He's playing great minutes in a really solid system under a great coach in Ole Glasner. I think it's time to stay where you are if you're Wharton. What about Semenyo? Heavily linked with loads of the elite clubs. Obviously, we've already got 2 Bournemouth players going to Liverpool, in my opinion, in Huijsen and Kerkez. Could we have a third? Eesh, I do like Semenyo. One of the best things about him is his two-footedness. He's the most two-footed forward in the Premier League. He's taken more shots than any Premier League attacker this season, and the balance is incredible. 56% have been with his right foot, 44% have been with his left foot. So he's really nicely balanced. He can play off both sides. He's very, very direct. His average shot distance is 17 yards from goal, so he shoots from range a lot. And I have to ask myself, where does he fit at Liverpool? Certainly not on the right, because Mo Salah is going to play there. Could it be on the left? Could Luis Diaz eventually be sold? Could he be replaced by Semenyo? Yeah, I think it would be a good move. I'm not too sure where exactly he would play. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Is it just as obvious as the left wing? Let's talk about the right back role. And it's a position Liverpool are going to have to strengthen if, and it's still a big if, isn't it, Trent doesn't sign that new contract. If he does sign it, then you don't. But could Tino Livramento be an answer here? Lots of Liverpool fans were suggesting him. For me, it's really unrealistic. His profile, statistically, and when you watch him, I think, is quite similar to Conor Bradley. Very combative in off-the-ball situations. Attacking output could still improve. You know, when you look at Tino Livramento, he's in the bottom 20% of European fullbacks for shot-creating actions. It's a similar sort of story for Conor Bradley. But that's because they're so young. Do you want Conor Bradley and Tino Livramento, both so young, both battling for the same spot? For me, you just let Conor Bradley have that role and you try and sign a more experienced backup. Conor Bradley's ceiling is incredibly high. The fee for Livramento would be insanely large. On a number of different levels, this doesn't work. I can't believe what I was seeing when loads of Liverpool fans started talking about Julian Alvarez in the last 48 hours. Big rumours coming out that he's not happy at Atletico Madrid. He wants to come back to the Premier League. Liverpool are really interested. What? I mean, surely this is nonsense. In a world where this was possible, he would be absolutely perfect for this number 9 role, a facilitator who is also a huge goal scorer. He would play lovely with Mo Salah. He would do the dog work that Mo Salah isn't able to do anymore for physical reasons. He's put up 31 goal involvements this season, including 26 goals, big numbers in the Champions League too, high-level trophy-winning experience, a great age. But Atletico Madrid paid 95 million euros for him last summer. He's become a talisman of this side. I know that Atletico have fallen off quite drastically towards the back end, but why on earth would they let him go? And if they were, would it not cost into the sort of 100 million mark? What? This is going in WTF. I don't understand it. Like, what? How has this rumour sprung up? If this is possible, Liverpool should be all over it, but what? Could Liam Delap be an answer to the number 9 issues Liverpool have struggled with? And clearly I think the number 9 is an area they're going to look to address this summer. There's been links with Alexander Isak. Forget about it. Forget about it. It's not happening. He's not leaving Newcastle. Could Liam Delap be an option? Really, every top Premier League club will be interested in Liam Delap because of that £30 million relegation release clause. It's a very viable deal to get done. He is the outstanding English youth talent in the number 9 position. To be able to put up 12, 13, he might even go on to hit 14 Premier League goals this season with effectively 0 service at Ipswich is remarkable. His physical abilities on and off the ball, running the channels but dropping deep to carry it, are amazing. Yeah, this would be a good move. I don't think it would be the perfect move for Liverpool because there are slightly more well-rounded number 9s to come. But there's no doubt if Liverpool signed Delap, we'd all be like, yeah, good business. Karim Atoma's name is being linked with Liverpool. He's under contract until 2027 at Brighton. Of course, they rejected huge money from Saudi Arabia in the January window, I think it was, or was it last summer? I can't remember, but it was sort of 70-odd million pounds, massive amounts of money. And he's under contract until 2027, so 2 years left on his deal. It's not that he isn't amazing to watch, because he is one of the funnest players in the Premier League to watch. It's huge volumes of dribbles, so technically secure in tight spaces. His first touch is a thing of beauty, but his goal output isn't a huge jump on a Luis Diaz. You know, it's just 11 goal involvements this season, so it's not a massive quantity, and Brighton have struggled a little bit, and it feels like it would still be a massive fee. If they were rejecting 70-odd million in the winter, do we see it being a massive row back on that position? Yeah, unrealistic for me to see them being able to get Mitoma. A little bit like João Pedro. I think João Pedro sneaks in there mainly because of his age. You know, the fee is also eye-watering there. Could they break the bank for a striker? And will they break the bank for a striker? I think it's quite likely. I really do. And there are some really good options here. Let's actually move Ugo Ekitike down. We'll talk about the two strikers together, Ugo Ekitike versus Victor Osimhen, later. Because we want to focus on Bryan Mbeumo, who only has a year left on his Brentford contract. He's put up huge numbers again this campaign, despite the fact quite a few of them have been penalties. I think 5 of his 18 Premier League goals have been penalties. He's massively overperformed his XG. I think his XG sits at about 10. He scored 18 goals from that, so he's either a really good finisher or he's running a little bit hot. The issue with Mbeumo is a lot of his best work really is done on that right-hand side, which is kind of where Mo Salah wants to play. And now Mo Salah has signed the long contract, the 2-year deal. Where does Mbeumo play? He hasn't really played that many minutes as a number 9, despite the fact we saw it last season at times with Ivan Toney's ban. Haven't seen him play on the left. Vissa plays a little bit more centrally than Mbeumo. I now think this would be a little bit confusing just because of that Mo Salah contract agreement. But Liverpool fans, what do you think? Am I talking nonsense there? Could he just be a cover on the depth and then also offer an option at number 9? I don't totally know where he would play for Liverpool. Let's talk about Carlos Baleba, who's under contract at Brighton until 2028. He's still only 21 years old. When you watch Baleba, you can't believe that. 21 years old doing what he's doing physically in the midfield. His progressive carry ability, it is astonishing to watch how easily he goes past grown men in this division. But off the ball, his interception, his reading of the game, amazing to watch how clearly he picks up passing lanes. His interception numbers are freakish. You know, Ryan Gravenberch across under 23 midfielders in Europe, has put up the most interceptions of any player. Then it's Andre Santos, who's of course on loan from Chelsea. Then it's Carlos Baleba, the third most interceptions of any under 23 player in Europe this season. Great read of the game, great physically. He would be amazing for Liverpool, but it's unrealistic. Bloom's going to want Moises Caicedo numbers for Carlos Baleba, and I don't think Liverpool are going to be spending 115 million on him right now. Ryan Cherki closing on 30 goal involvements this season. Glorious player to watch. We watched him at Old Trafford decimate Manchester United in extra time when they went down to 10 men. His ability to receive the ball under pressure, pop 1-2s off, is a joy to watch. That's my favourite thing about Cherki, is when he draws in the defender, quick 1-2, round the side. His brain was working too quickly for a lot of his teammates. A lot of the Lyon players, it felt like, were 1 or 2 steps behind where Cherki was trying to play passes. And at £25 million, his availability is madness. Like, he's such a good pickup for someone. But I actually don't think it's Liverpool. I think this would be confusing. You know, they've got Harvey Elliott, who doesn't get a look in game time wise, really. So where's his role? He's competing already with a Mo Salah maybe on the right hand side, and he's not a natural right winger. He wants to play centrally. He's competing there with Szoboszlai, who's a physical demon, runs himself into the ground. His off the ball numbers are Premier League leading. Yeah, it doesn't quite fit for me, the Cherki profile at Liverpool. Certainly somebody's going to get a worldie here, but I'm not sure it's quite right here. Number 9's then, Ugo Ekitike versus Victor Osimhen. I'll be honest, and I'm just going to say this, Victor Osimhen's going to Saudi. This is going in unrealistic. I don't see any other club being able to afford him. The Saudis are offering him 25 million a season last summer. That number's still going to be on the table. He went to Galatasaray for a reason. Premier League clubs were interested. The deal couldn't be done because of wage issues, because of agent fees. That is still going to happen. Like, if the Saudis are on the table offering the same amount of money, which they will be, that they did last summer, he's ending up there. Liverpool and Osimhen is a story I just cannot in a million years see. He's the least Liverpool signing imaginable. Whereas Ugo Ekitike could be slightly more imaginable. If you look at the profile and you think of his ability to create, he's great at dropping deep. He's played alongside another Egyptian in Omar Mamouche this very season, although it was slightly more as a pair there. You know, Mo Salah would play slightly wider, but I do like him as a facilitator. His creativity is amazing. His ball striking is really good. He can drop deep and link play. He's actually not a target man. You know, because he's very physically tall at 6'3", people look at him and think, oh, target man, get it into him. It's not really Ekitike's game. He's very technical, great at being able to draw pressure and turn and release players. His goal-scoring exploits have been amazing. His creativity's looked great again this season. The issue's the fee. Frankfurt run teams up. They let Marmouche go in the January window for a fairly reasonable number. I thought it's not going to happen with Ekitike. They know they've got a superstar on their hands here. There's reports of fees of upwards of 80 million euros. That is a lot of money. That is a real lot of money. But I would be willing to pay it. I think I would be willing to play it. I'm going to say Ekitike is the perfect facilitator. He's a combination of a Roberto Firmino, but then also has some of the traits, some of the finishing power of an Alexander Isak. His all-round game is just getting better and better. And at 22 years old, it feels like he's ready to go to another super club. He's tried it at PSG, didn't work there. Sometimes it just doesn't work for a number of different reasons. I think he's rebuilt his reputation at Frankfurt to such a level now where if Liverpool could get him for the right fee, let's say it's 70 million euros, let's try and be more realistic. They're great negotiators at Liverpool. This would be a brilliant bit of business and probably my favourite list in terms of fit for that number 9 Liverpool role. In terms of fit as well, I love Mark Guehi to Liverpool. This would be a good move. He's in the final year of his contract. It's very realistic they could get hold of him. He would compete with Konate for that starting spot. He's the captain of Crystal Palace. He's a really, really good age profile at 24 too. Fits into that Liverpool mould, doesn't it? Of sort of 21 to 25-year-olds, taking him with Premier League experience. Again, this would really feel like a Liverpool signing to me. In the same realm as when they took Jota from Wolves. Just taking one of the best players at a slightly lower level side. We'll finish with Frimpong then, and this would be confusing for me. Do think Liverpool potentially need a backup right back if Trent leaves, but he isn't a right back. He's played once in the right back role in the last 2 seasons. He's a wing back. He's really a winger. When you watch Leverkusen, he plays so advanced. He's not really even a wing-back at times. He's probably on the outside of where Mo Salah would play. Does that work? Frimpong and Mo Salah in the same side? It would require a drastic change of style, a drastic change of positional play from Frimpong. Now, that isn't to say he couldn't do it. Still very young, might be adaptable enough to do it, but you're taking a lot of his best elements away if you do it. He's one of the best dribblers in Europe in that fullback, wing-back zone. Great creator. Do you then want him going the other way? I'm not sure about the fit here. But Liverpool fans, are you sure about the fit? What do you think of my tier list? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, hit subscribe. I'll see you later.